So, Simran Singh and Anjana, please make a note. You're starting this course with unit number 4. So what happens is every week we do one unit. This week is number 4. Next week is number 5, and so on. Once we get to unit number 13, we'll go back to number 1, 2, and 3. Upon completion of the third unit, for you guys, just for you both, we'll be looking into your placement. All right, so let's get started. So today's unit is unit number 4, which is work with diverse people. So the code for this particular unit is CHCDIV001. CHCDIV001. Work with diverse people. So under this particular unit, you have 4 topics: reflect on own perspectives, appreciate diversity, inclusiveness and the benefits, communicate with people from diverse backgrounds and situation, promote understanding across diverse groups. So the purpose of this particular unit is to ensure that you have adequate knowledge on how to deal with people from different backgrounds. Now, Australia is a multicultural country where you have people from different backgrounds. So obviously, when you're working in the industry, you will be interacting with people from different backgrounds, different age groups, and different perceptions. So when you're dealing with people and working with people from different backgrounds, how do you behave and how do you respect each other is what we're talking in today's unit. I hope that is clear for everyone. So if you look at this particular class itself, we have people from different backgrounds. Okay, even if you have people from, for example, you have people from Nepal or people from India or any other country, every country has a different parts in it. And each and every part of that country follows different things. So in our own country, we have different things that we follow. So when it comes to a different country like Australia, here we have people from different backgrounds with different perceptions, different thought processes, and different cultural practices and religions and so on. So how do we respect each other is what we're learning in today's unit. So when you're working in an aged care, well, obviously you see whoever is here, these are the people who you interact with. For example, you have in our session, we have people from India, Nepal, Pakistan, say Bangladesh, you have people from Africa, you have people from Philippines, you have people from other countries, Bhutan, and so on. So the same people you'll be interacting with most of the time. But apart from that, you'll also be interacting with, I don't think in this session, I don't think we have any Australians. The percentage of Australians is comparatively less in this industry, but you'll be interacting with managers, supervisors, registered nurses, personal care assistants, and the clients and the family members who are also from different backgrounds. And apart from this, you will also be interacting with doctors, physiotherapists, dietitians, and other healthcare professionals who might also be from different backgrounds. So how do we respect each other? Now, when we're talking about diversity, what does diversity include? What are the characteristics of workplace diversity? Age, ethnicity, gender, disability, language, religious beliefs, life stages, education, career responsibilities, sexual orientation, personality, and marital status. So you have different people with different backgrounds at workplace. So how do we respect them? So when you come first to Australia, for example, if you ask you a question, before you came to Australia, you got your residency, I'm going to say your visa, you got your visa to Australia. So what were your expectations on Australia? What were your expectations on Australia? Can anyone give me an answer? What was your expectation on Australia?
Cultural diversity.
Yes, but what was your expectation on others here before you moved to Australia?
Get better life, get better job, better offer.
Yeah. And
probably currency.
Did you expect people to respect you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what kind of respect were you expecting from people in Australia?
Quality.
Quality?
Equality. No discrimination,
Equality.
I would say.
Equality, yeah.
Equality.
Anything else? I hope I go to Australia and hope people will treat me as I am. Yeah. And also, I hope I don't get discriminated. I hope I won't be subjected to any kind of racism or anything. So these are some of the expectations that you have from people. Is that right? Everyone has a similar expectations. Now, when you have an expectation from others, you have to remember one thing, that others will also have the same expectation from you. So considering that, whatever you're expecting from others, you have to return it back to others as well. So that's how it works. So when it comes to working with people from different backgrounds, we need to make sure that we respect whatever they are following. For example, if I ask you a question, what are some of the biases and social and cultural perspectives that you have in your own culture? Can anyone tell me? What are the things that you follow in your own culture? What is that you follow on a day-to-day basis in your own culture? So what is accepted in your own culture?
Like in India, we do, we respect elders by touching their feet, but I don't know, it's not followed here. It's an Indian tradition to give respect to elders. They do that, they touch their feet and take the blessings. It's from the younger ones to the elders, they do. But it's not here. This is a different, one of the aspect we can say it's a diversity.
Yes. And anything else?
In the morning, they worship God and goddesses, but here is not that practice.
Okay. Anything else? Do you have any biases in your own culture? Unfair treatment, in other words. Now, when we're talking about these social and cultural perspectives, now culture-wise, yes, Jyoti has mentioned one of the things is that we do touch the feet of elderly people. Whether anyone who is older than us, we usually touch their feet. So, in other words, it is considered as taking blessings from elderly people or people who are older than you. Now, that is one of the things that you learn in your own culture. So every person, every people from different backgrounds, they have their own way of getting blessings from elderly people. But what we do is we touch the feet. Okay, that's fine. That's more about culture. Now, what are your social perspectives? What is accepted in your community? Social perspectives. Now, our social perspectives, if I talk about India or Nepal, now living relationship is not common in India or Nepal.
Yeah.
Okay, social perspectives, which means that the community is not open to accept these kind of things. Community prefers nowadays. It's a modern generation wise as well. People, love marriages are still accepted. Okay, again, there are some issues in there, but not everything is accepted. But again, those kind of things, we're talking about the social perspectives. For example, hugging on the streets, other things like, showing love in the streets is not something that is accepted in our community. Okay, now those are social perspectives. Is everyone clear with that?
Yes.
Cultural perspectives and social perspectives. There are certain things that are accepted. There are certain things that are not accepted. And when it comes to biases, for example, unfair treatment, what kind of unfair treatment do you have in your own culture? For example, a very common standard one is gender equality. Now, for example, if you talk about, I'm not very sure about Nepal, but I believe they're similar to Indian culture, which is, for example, and even other countries like Philippines and if you talk about the Philippines, Africa, and Bhutan, all of these other countries as well. As for my understanding, they have a similar gender problems. Again, men are expected to work, female are expected to look after the family and stay home, and so on. Okay. So there are different responsibilities that are given, which are considered to be as unfair treatment. Okay, it's not fair to treat like that. But anyways, that's your culture. Now, why do we do that? Is because that's what we have learned from generations, where everyone was given a responsibility, especially men were given a responsibility to go and make sure that they earn enough money and look after the family and feed the family and take those kind of responsibilities. Whereas women were expected to look into, house, maintaining the house, and as a housewife, whatever jobs they have to do, that is what was expected from females, which was a bit of unfair treatment. But over the period of time, things are getting better. Things are definitely getting better over the period of time. But these are some of the cultural and social perspectives and biases that we have in our own cultures. Okay. Now, when you are talking to people from different background, you may have to understand their cultural perspectives as well. For example, you will be interacting with clients from Italian background, Greek background a lot. And Australians, obviously, Australians, Italians, Greeks, and you might come across, very rarely, you might come across people from Asian background. There might be a percentage, say 10 to 15% of people you may come across from Asian background, whether we're talking about China, whether you're talking about any other nationalities. Okay. So you might come across these different people. Now, I don't know, because Australia is a multicultural country. You have people from everywhere here, almost everywhere here. Now, how do I learn about everyone? Do I have to learn about everyone? Is it possible for me to learn about all of these cultures? Firstly, if you talk to me, for example, Rakesh, do you know everything about your culture? If you ask me that question, my answer is not everything. I know bits and pieces here and there because my parents have taught me, or my grandfather, my grandmother, or my uncles, my aunties, my teachers, my friends, and different people who I have interacted in my life. They have contributed a little bit to everything. Okay, so I've learned most of the things, but there are certain things that I still may not know about my own culture. Now, how do I know about these many cultures in Australia? And do I really have to know about all of these cultures? Now, it is almost impossible, I would say, unless your job is to make sure that you learn about cultures, then you may know more, or else it's really hard. Yes, we totally understand. But then how do I provide support services? For example, if I'm providing services to an Italian background client or a Greek background client, as soon as I start interacting with, I have to start focusing on their cultural perspectives. For example, I start to support a client who is from Italian background. I have to start talking to the family members, read the care plan, and try to know what is accepted in the culture and what is not accepted in the culture. And then you will also be interacting. For example, you have bigger questions about the culture, and you really want to know, because 99% of that facility is all Italian residents. You know what I mean? 99% are Italian residents. Now, what do I do and how do I learn about their culture? Now, as I mentioned earlier, you refer to the care plan, read about the cultural perspectives, talk to the clients, talk to the family members, have friends from different backgrounds. If you have a friend who is from Italian background, there are certain questions that you don't feel like asking anyone else. You would feel like discussing that with your friend. Maybe you can talk to your friend. Maybe you can read a book. Maybe you can talk to cultural interpreters. Now, how we, normally when there is a language problem, we have a language interpreter, right? The same way, when we have cultural issues and we don't know about these different cultural perspectives, what we do is we talk to the cultural interpreters. And who are the cultural interpreters? A father in a church, a priest in a temple, basically the people who are more into religion and culture, who know more about religion and culture. Those are the people who we can learn from. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
And then we can interact with our clients appropriately. We can interact with our clients appropriately once we know more about the culture. Again, sometimes we might knowingly you should not be doing any mistakes, but unknowingly, if you have done some mistake and you think that it was against the culture, you later on realize that it was against the culture, then apologize. Say that, sorry, I really didn't know about your culture. If I did something wrong and which was against your culture, I'm really sorry for that. Okay, I'll try not to repeat this again. People accept apology when there is a genuine mistake. Is that clear for everyone?
Yes.
Now, what are the other things that we can do in order to show our commitment towards diversity at workplace? What else can we do? Now, as we have discussed, people have different perceptions about different things. Now, respect the perceptions. Whatever the culture says, you don't have to judge people. For example, if you talk to me about my own culture and my own religion, I'm a Hindu, so we don't eat beef. We don't eat beef. Now, I'm very strict about it. I don't let my son eat beef as well, because that's one of the things, because we pray cow every day. Every day when we wake up, we have a shower, we do our prayers. A cow is a holy thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we always pray. So we cannot eat beef. It's against our culture. And that's one of the things that we strictly implement. Now, that's my decision. That's my culture. That's my religion. That's what I believe in. So you should respect it. Okay. Now you can't come and say, oh, it's so yum. I don't know why you guys don't eat, That's not the right way of talking to people. People get offended. Okay. Now there could be someone who is vegan. That's their choice. Someone who is vegetarian, that's their choice. And a lot of people, for example, someone who is vegetarian eats an egg. That's their choice. I don't have to decide what is right and what is wrong. It's more like what comes first, chicken or egg. Do I worry about this? No, really. There's no right answer. No, there's no wrong answer on it. So let people do what they want. Is that clear for everyone?
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do at workplace is we're not judging people. We're not judging people. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing? No. All right, you do that. Try to know, if you can, try to know why are they doing it. What makes them do it? Okay. That will help you to understand why people are following different things. Every culture, every ritual. Simran Singh, you'll be very soon removed from the session, Simran. It's your first day. I have repeated your name a few times already. Simran. I don't know what's your expectation on this class. The students who are not on the camera, without any further notice, I'll be removing them from the session and will not be provided with the assessment. You got only a couple of hours of session, so please concentrate, guys. So I'm hoping that everyone is clear. So we do have to respect people, whatever they follow in their own culture. And as I mentioned earlier, we all have a reason behind everything that we do. For example, I gave you my reason. I pray cow, so I don't eat beef. Okay, so there are some other reasons. For example, culturally, if someone is wearing a particular jewelry, for example, particular jewelry, say, touring. Do everyone know touring? They wear a touring in some cultures. The reasons behind wearing a touring is, there is a chance after marriage usually, because there is a scientific reason behind it. Is what they say is when someone wears a touring, the blood circulation improves and there is a higher chance of them getting pregnant, so they can start a family. So that's one of the reasons that I have. Whether it's true or not, I'm not sure, but this is what I have heard in my research or read in my research. So everything has a reason and its own way of doing it. So we should just respect it. We do not judge people. Okay. Why do you have to do this? Why? No, don't ask people why. Okay. If you want to ask in a very polite way. I know that you guys do this. Do you know what exactly is the significance of this? That's a better way of asking question rather than why do you do that? Which is a rude way of asking question, and people get offended. Rather, they won't give you an answer on that. Rather, some people might say, I don't know. I have to research myself. That's okay too, because we all learn things from people, from our parents or teachers or so on. And at the end, we may not even know why we're doing it, but we're just doing it because our parents have taught us, and that's the right way of doing it. And we have learned it from them, and we feel happy about doing those things. So we should be respecting the same thing people would be learning from different people. So let's respect it and keep it simple. And also when it comes to interacting with people who are elderly people at workplace, for example, it's not just your clients. You might come across a staff member who is also 60 plus, 60 years old or more. So now you don't have to be age biased. Don't go to, and why are you working at the age of 60? You're almost the age where you're going to come to an age care soon. Now, this is not the right way to, a lot of people that you think, mind you can't stop. You can't stop mind from thinking. Mind thinks good things and bad things. Okay. It's mind. You just need to have a control over it. Okay. And you don't go and ask people like that. You know what I mean? That's discrimination. If someone discriminates based on the age, sex, or any kind of race, racial discrimination, that is something that can be considered as bullying and harassment. Now, what is a bullying? Can anyone tell me what is bullying? Bullying? Discrimination, everyone knows, right? Going against the race, religion, culture, skin color, or so on.
Bullying, teasing person.
Teasing, okay.
Okay.
Bullying and harassment, I'll combine and give you a simple answer. A repetitive behavior of someone that is upsetting someone else's, so whether it's psychological, whether it's physical, whatsoever, okay, that can be considered as a bullying and harassment. In other words, a repetitive behavior that upsets other people or a particular group is bullying or harassment. For example, some of the examples of bullying and harassment could include, oh, you don't know this, you can never learn this. Okay, and you keep repeating that, that's a bullying. That, you are superior and you take control of everything and you know nothing. That those kind of things can be a part of bullying. Harassment, touching people without their consent. Or when a person says that, I'm not comfortable, don't do this, I'm not comfortable, and you keep doing it again and again, that can be harassment. Or sending messages late in the night which cannot be appropriate. Okay. Now, just because you're working with someone for last 3 years, it doesn't mean they are your friend. Just because you're working. Some people smile at work. Smile doesn't give you any consent to do whatever. That's how people work. Okay. So, and swearing, where a person said, I don't like you to swear a lot. You swear a lot. I'm really uncomfortable when I'm working with you. But this person is smiling. Now, people smile when they say things because they want things to be neutral. Now, no one is going to, I don't like to hear you smile, you are swearing, and they're like on your face and with the rude tone. Do you think you'll get along very well? No. So that's why people tell you in a polite manner with a smile. So even though they tell you with smile, please consider that serious. Because if you do that again, the person might report you. Is that clear for everyone? Workplace organizations have policies on bullying, harassment, discrimination, which means that if someone has been bullied, harassed, or discriminated at workplace, there might be consequences related to it. For example, people might be suspended from work, people might be reported to police. It depends on what exactly happened. Okay, so we do not bully anyone, harass anyone, or discriminate anyone. And at the same time, if someone does that to you, you need to make sure that you follow your own policies and procedures of the organization and report to the management and take necessary action. But sometimes certain small things may not be a part of bullying and harassment. They feel like they are part of it. For example, someone is touching you, you're not comfortable. What do? You tell them, my friend, I'm not comfortable. Don't do that. Okay. Now, sometimes people are apologetic. For example, oh, I really don't mean to touch you, but I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Let it go. It's okay once. If that's repetitive, then take it serious, make it serious. Give a complaint to your supervisor or follow the policies and procedures and take legal action, whatever needs to be taken. Is that clear? Anyone has any questions? And moving to the next one is, how does our organization show its commitment towards diversity? As we have learned again, as we know and we have learned about Australia, it has people from different backgrounds. Now, organization also has to show its commitment towards diversity. Okay. For example, at workplace, you have people from different backgrounds. So how does organization respect diversity? Now, when we're talking about an organization respecting diversity, so these are the three objectives: sustaining awareness of diversity, demonstrating commitment to diversity, maintaining a safe and secure work environment. These are the three objectives, or in other words, these are the three things an organization can do to show its commitment towards diversity at workplace. Now, what is sustaining awareness of diversity? When we're talking about sustaining awareness of diversity, how does an organization make sure that everyone is included and they know about different cultures? Now, sustaining awareness is simply they can organize formal trainings. For example, if they have 99% of the residents who are Italians, example. Now, they might have to conduct at least once in a month some kind of cultural activity, or have a formal training every 2 months or 3 months, so that people can learn about Italian culture. Okay. Or they can have some posters, flyers. They can have some events where they can celebrate events and learn from each other, share the food. So these are some of the things an organization can do in order to show its commitment towards diversity. Now, I do expect everyone to make a note of slide number 7, 8, 9. Slide number 7, 8, 9. So that's a sustaining awareness, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can 6 to 9. Sustaining awareness and demonstrating commitment to diversity. In other words, you have to treat everyone equally, what we have earlier discussed. The same thing. So demonstrate workplace diversity in leadership. We need to have people from different backgrounds in the leadership. They can hire people from different backgrounds based on the skills, not based on race or citizens. Those kind of things are not considered, irrespective of whether it's a student who is working in the industry, whether it's a citizen, whether it's a permanent resident, or whether it's a person from India, Nepal, China, Philippines, or any other nationality. If they have skills, and if they are have the leadership skills, and they're able to manage people, and they know what they're doing, and they have higher knowledge and skills, they should be considered. They also should be considered in the leadership roles, irrespective of the background. And also, an organization shows its commitment towards diversity by supporting the flexible working arrangements. Now, some of the flexible working arrangements could include, example, a person who is from a particular background does prayers for 5 times a day or 6 times a day, example. And they would like to have a break at 1 o'clock and prefer to do their prayers at that time. Now, an organization might allow this and give them a special privilege, saying that, okay, you can have your break at 1 o'clock, so that you can do whatever your cultural or religious practices that you have to do. Okay. Or someone has disabled child, example, and they have more responsibilities, and they prefer to work for shorter hours. Say someone says that I can only work from 7 to 11 because my child really needs me at lunchtime, because he doesn't eat lunch without me. Okay, so I'm the only one who is looking after that child. Now the organization might say, all right, we are a bit flexible, so you can come from 7 until 11. Depending on people's circumstances, okay? Or, for example, I've got Diwali festival and I would prefer to take a day off on that particular day. Or I've got Ramadan, I would prefer to have this holiday. Or every year. Not just 1 year, every year. Don't roster me on that day. You know what I mean? So these kind of things will be considered by the organization when it comes to supporting diversity. And obviously, as we discussed, people should be selected based on their merit. That's also one of the things an organization can do in order to show its commitment towards diversity. And how to maintain a safe and secure work environment. Be open-minded, listen and respond to views of the others. Don't judge people quickly. Listen to them, what they're trying to say. Demonstrate appropriate behavior in all activities. Treat others with respect, courtesy, and consideration, and not tolerate any harassment or discrimination. Participate in events to celebrate our diversity and contribute ideas and draw on our skills, knowledge, and background. Identify and cooperatively address barriers to diversity and participation. Work to build an environment in which everyone can be fully participate. Responsibilities for ensuring the successful implementation of these strategies will rest with the management. Now, in order to make sure that we maintain a safe and secure work environment, as we mentioned, don't discriminate people who are elder than you if they're working. And if someone is telling you something, listen to them attentively and work together as a team and treat everyone with respect and courtesy and consider everyone's situation. For example, one of the examples is a lot of times I see this problem. Someone who is a pregnant or an elderly person, okay? Now, this is a main problem. When I see a lot of people, as soon as they see, oh, someone is pregnant. Oh my God, today I'm going to have a hard shift. I have a staff member who's pregnant, 6 months pregnant, 5 months pregnant. Now, is that appropriate? Is that how you think? Now, your staff member, whoever it is, they have been working with you all throughout the time. Now, they have their own personal life. They're pregnant. They need their family. Rather try to be understanding. And if she needs any help, try to help more if you can. But don't judge her or don't be upset that someone is pregnant, so she can't work too much. I have to work too much. It's okay. We all work together. Everyone appreciates what you do. It depends on how you approach and how you show your respect towards them. Managers, supervisors, they all know that there's someone who's pregnant. They might be a little bit slower. They may not be. Not everyone is slow. Some people are very active when they're pregnant. So they wanted to really do physical activities. They don't want to sit home. It's okay. So we need to be understanding and we need to respect them rather than, complaining about it or judging about the situation. Is that clear for everyone? And those kind of things, if you're treating someone or have that bullying attitude towards the other people, then there's legal proceedings. We have anti-discrimination legislations. Now, what is the consequence of breaching a legislation? If you treat someone unequally, unfairly, what happens? If you discriminate people, if you harass people, if you bully people, we have different legislations, anti-discrimination legislations. Now, if you breach this anti-discrimination legislation, what happens? What is the consequence of breaching the legislation and human rights? What is the consequence?
Result into jail. It can lead into suspension of your working rights. You may be suspended from your work.
Suspensions, fire, people will be fired, people can be sent to jail or legally penalized. They might even be restricted to work in particular industry. For example, you discriminate people, age discrimination happen multiple times. You're discriminating, you're telling your clients you're too old, this and that, you're being rough. Okay. That means, your behavior is not appropriate to work with elderly people. That's why we have this police check. That's why we have this working with children's checks. What is the purpose? To make sure that, these elderly vulnerable people, elderly disabled and children are not subjected to any kind of bullying, harassment or discrimination. That's the reason. And your history is clear. We don't have any problems with your history. That's when we send you the placements so that, you can respect everyone and look after them very well and not discriminate anyone. Okay. Now, there are different legislations that protects us and that also protects our clients and other colleagues. So anything that is against the human rights or the legislations, there are legal proceedings. So we just need to be careful about what you say. And also when you're communicating with people from different backgrounds, you need to be really mindful on what you're saying. For example, some people, I'll just tell you, what is a better way? You don't usually use that word. Now, for example, this particular size doesn't fit you. You're too fat. Is that how you say? Is fat the right word to use?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say in a better way? Anyone? I would rather use a word, you're a bit healthy. Healthy may not be actually a right word, frankly speaking, but it doesn't upset anyone. You know what I mean? That's the approach. That's an approach. Okay. Healthy doesn't actually fit in there. May not be healthy. You know, some people who are lean, it doesn't mean that they're healthy. Some people who look perfect doesn't mean that they're healthy. Some people who are big, it doesn't mean that they're healthy. You don't know. I can't tell you who is healthy. I don't have the test results. I'm not a doctor. It's all about how you say things. Okay. So, and don't include anyone. Don't generalize people. For example, you know, all people from your country do this. All people from your country do this. Now, every country, every group, every nationality, whatever you call it, there are good people, there are bad people. There are good things, there are bad things. All right. So we don't have to generalize people and have a stereotypical attitude towards people. Now, what is a stereotypical attitude? It's a false belief. For example, I don't want to talk more about any other culture. People might get offended. So that's why I'm using my own culture. So my country fellows, please relax, okay? I'm not saying anything to you guys or myself or anyone else. It's only a part of the lecture. So for example, a lot of people say, all Indians are too loud. Indians do that. Indians do, okay, fine, no problems. You say whatever you want to say, but end of the day, not all Indians are the same again. Even here, there are people who are good and bad. Could be anything. By end of the day, you should not be having any kind of stereotypical attitude towards any particular group. Now, stereotypes can cause problems because stereotypes are false beliefs. They're not true. That's why I said, you can't generalize people because someone said something. A group has created an impression on another group. Now, you don't follow that group and start discriminating people based on that particular bias. Is that clear?
Yes.
Is everyone clear with that? So
Yeah.
these kind of things you must consider when you are working in the industry, with whatever work that you do. The same things, you just need to follow this. And as you learn about different cultures, because you're living in Australia, again, Australia is a multicultural country, the more you learn, the more it contributes to your career progression. For example, I worked in an aged care as a personal care assistant. Okay. Now then I have taken my step to do teaching or some other jobs that I'm doing related to your courses. Okay. Now I interact people from different backgrounds. Now, since I have interacted with people, students from different backgrounds, and also the personal care assistants, nurses, doctors, and everyone from different background, I learned here and there bits and pieces. Not that I'm telling you that I know about everything, but I know here and there a little bit about different cultures. Okay. Now, I'll give you some examples of my own way of learning and how bad it was at the beginning when I came to Australia. And over the period of time, what did I learn? Now, some of the things that were really, back in 2006 is what I'm talking about. 2006. Now it's what, 23. This was more than 15 years ago. Okay. When I was way too young. And even now I'm not too old, but when I was way too young. Okay. So when I came, because I was only exposed to one culture, that was Indian culture. When I came to Australia, I didn't know much, as just like how you guys started doing this course. As soon as I came to Australia, I had 3 months of time where I don't have to do anything because I came early. And I didn't have anything else to do. So what I did is I did this aged care course and I started doing my placements. And well, frankly speaking, we didn't have this much of information back then. Okay. Our sessions are a bit shorter, it was a bit easier, I would say, a lot easier, I would say. And I didn't have that much as exposure to the culture as well, because it was my 3rd day or 4th day I started my course already. And I was doing my placement. There are certain things that I learned, and I always think about these things, and always, most of the time I share with my students as well. I went to one of my clients' room. She was an elderly person, about 95 years old, I think. And she had these 10 photographs on her wall in her room. And I was just, someone was giving her medication and was just giving her a glass of water. And I was looking at her room, it's curious. First time you're going to aged care, you're very curious about things. I was looking at the photographs, and then she goes like this. Oh, that's my husband number one. That's my husband number two. That's my partner, blah, blah, blah. She ended up with 10 people, and they're all sitting together on that wall. 10 of them. And I was like, what? 10 people? Are you serious? I've never seen anyone more than one or two. Two is a bit of surprise for me. And you got all 10 of them sitting together on the wall? Okay, this is strange. Now, exposure again. Australia. All right. Oh, now I realize I'm in Australia. Okay. Now, that's done. That's done. That's one part of it. And then the next time I have interacted with someone else, my boss is a lesbian. I didn't know that. And then someone was standing at the reception, and this was after one year. Okay, but back then I was a team leader because I was doing everything well, and then the supervisor has asked me that, my manager has asked me that you can work on a weekend to make sure that everything is going smoothly, because we got a bigger facility. It was Catholic Homes, it was a not-for-profit organization. So back then I was standing at the reception waiting on someone, and then the lady comes with a dog. Okay, and I said, how can I help you? And she goes, no, you're doing a wonderful job, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, okay. She didn't say anything. She said, you're doing a wonderful job. Yes, it's okay. You keep doing what you're doing. But she didn't tell what she wants. And I called the supervisor and said, see, there's a lady here who's tall with a dog, and she's at the reception. She's sitting on it at the reception, literally. And she grabbed a chair. She's sitting, and she's waiting on someone. I asked her, but she didn't really react very well. I mean to say, she was polite, but she didn't give me the right answer of what she wants. Is that a family member, or who is it? And she asked me a couple of, is she blonde and so on. I said, yeah. And then she goes like, don't worry, it's a husband of our manager. And I was like, what? She's a female. She's a husband. How did this happen? Do you know what I mean? So these kind of things even happened with me. It took a while for me to understand. Obviously, then I started my Google search. How can a girl be, or a lady be a husband? Now, that's what I'm saying. Exposure, it happens over the period of time. Nothing happens in one day. Okay, these kind of things. Well, I learned. I didn't judge. It was strange for me. I learned. Now I don't go and whinge about it. Everyone knows. Poor me. I'm the only one I didn't know about this. Okay, so these kind of things could happen, and people have different sexual orientations at workplace. Now, for example, marital status. Some people are living together, but they don't know if they're going to actually get married. And they're very upfront about it. And then sometimes I have heard someone saying in front of the partner itself, we don't know as of now we're going to marry or not, but right now we're living together. Well, that's their decision. I've got nothing to do with it. I can't go and say, how come you guys are living together if you don't know if you're going to marry or not? That's not my problem. That's their problem. Let them deal with it. The biggest problem is partner and husband. If you say partner, someone is unhappy. If you say husband, someone is unhappy. Sometimes it's challenging, but I use the word partner most of the time. You know why? If someone is not married and you call them husband, then the other person gets offended that, oh, we didn't get married and you're deciding our marriage. You know what I mean? You're talking to a colleague, you say, hey, your partner is here. Oh, is that your partner? Or is that your husband? Now, I prefer to call it partner. Partner is, I believe it's less offending if people are not married or married. Okay, it neutralizes things. So these kind of things, you just need to be mindful about it when it comes to communication. Now, trivializing language. What is a trivializing language? A trivializing language is, for example, that chick at the reception. Okay, usually some people call as checkout chick, receptionist. Now, is it appropriate word to call checkout chick? No. Okay. Now, these kind of words, that's a trivializing language. Do not use discriminative language. Always use inclusive language. We. You guys know, we. we work together. Okay, these are some of the things that you need to consider when you are working in the industry, so that you show respect towards everyone at workplace. Now, accepting others openly, as I mentioned earlier, what you expected from others is what you give them back. Now, sometimes it's not about winning and losing. It's more about mutual understanding. If there is a problem, let's compromise on a particular solution and let's follow that particular solution to work out of a solution for that particular problem when it comes to working with people from different backgrounds. Now, let's discuss about done that. Issues that may cause communication misunderstandings. Sometimes when you're communicating with people, communication misunderstandings can happen. And what are some of the reasons for the communication misunderstanding? If you don't know about the culture and the sensitivity related to their culture, that can happen. Lack of awareness about different societal lifestyle practices, differences in cultural practices, differences in perceptions of illness and treatment, miscommunication and misinterpretation. Now, when we're talking about communication and the misunderstandings, you don't know about a particular culture and you said something and people got offended. That can happen. Okay. You don't know about the societal practices. For example, how I mentioned, living relationship, and they're not planning to marry at this stage, or they don't want to marry. That's their problem. These are lifestyle practices people may have. You don't have to judge them. If you don't know them, just try to learn them and just follow them. That's it. Let people follow whatever. I'm not asking you to follow, but just be aware that people could follow this and just let it go. Don't judge people. Differences in cultural practices. I follow something, they follow something. Let them do it. Okay, don't judge them. Differences in perception of illness and treatment. Now, when we're talking about differences in perception of illness and treatment, again, some people prefer to have, for example, here in Australia also, some people prefer to have English medication. Some people prefer to have traditional medication, whether it's Ayurvedic or any other, there are different medications and different ways of treating a particular problem. Okay, so some people may go for homeopathy. Yeah, different medications or different ways of treating a problem. For example, someone who had a cut. Okay, for example, a lot of Indians do that. Haircut. What do? You usually, Australians or most of the nation, including Indians, they put bandages. Yeah? Some people, they don't put bandages because as per what they learn from their culture is leave that wound open and apply turmeric. Turmeric helps. Turmeric is considered as an antibiotic, natural antibiotic. People follow that. Whatever, let people do whatever. If you might think that, it might get dusty if you don't do that, you might be infected. That's all. Keep it to yourself. Don't educate too much about this for some people who believe in their own practices. Okay, and certainly you need to respect that person's perceptions on treating a particular problem. Okay, and respect that person, whatever perceptions that they may have when it comes to their own culture or religious or cultural practices. Now, moving to the next one is about one of the other things that when it comes to this particular unit is about Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders. Who are Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders? Now, what I want you guys to do is, I want you to do a little bit of research about Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders. And I want you to focus on what are some of the cultural practices that they have. I'm going to ask you questions. Okay, I want you guys to research a bit. What happened with them? I repeat myself. I want everyone to please be on mute because I can hear my own voice. All right. So, all right. I repeat myself. So Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders, what happened to them? What is history like? What happened to them? And what are some of the cultural practices that they may have? Okay, short research, a quick one. I'll give you 5 minutes on this. Okay. It can be off the camera. We'll start discussing about this. I'll give you about 7 minutes from now. We'll start discussing about it at 10 o'clock. And I might pick anyone and ask a question about Aborigines and Torres Strait Islanders. So please start your research.
Colonizers. Implemented. Series.
All right, everyone onto the cameras.
Officially.
All right, so open to everyone. Can anyone tell me about
Inhumane.
Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders? Open to everyone. Anyone can give me an answer.
They were the first people, Aborigines. They were the first people of Australia, and the Torres Islanders were the people who were located in different islands, Torres Strait, like 274 different islands. That's what I.
Yeah. And they're said to be as first people of Australia. So do you know anyone? Do you know anything what happened to them?
Yeah, when the colonization was happened from the Europeans, their children were forced to move from the country, so that, and the denial of citizenship was also offered to them and their children, so they had to move from their land.
So basically the land has been stolen.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one. Number two,
Implemented.
you spoke about this. Simran, you can go on mute because I can hear myself. Yeah. Thanks for the answers. So one of the things that happened is they're still fighting for their land rights. The land was stolen. They lost their culture because they lost most of the culture and languages because people were forced to follow Western culture. Okay. Now the children, when it comes to children, this is one of the traumatic incidents that they have faced. Traumatic because they're still in trauma related to this, because the kids were forcefully taken away from them. Literally, they entered into the territory. They took all of the kids
Yeah.
from the parents, and
They
they were
forced-
forced to forced to work in the factories. Okay. Even the young kids who are like 1 year old were taken away from them. Okay. That's what they came. And that's what they say. And this generation is called stolen generation. What do they call it? Stolen generation. The kids taken away from them. And they have different things that they have mentioned about when it comes to this. It's for the child protection and so on. But however, end of the day, the kids were taken away from the parents. And they were also we also heard about also heard and read about the diseases being spread among them so that they could kill them. They were imprisoned. They have been tortured in the jails. That's what they claim. Okay. And you will see a lot if you really wanted to see a much more in reality, if you wanted to see what happened to them and so on, you can go for this, Australia Day celebrations in the city on 26th of Jan, if I'm not wrong, Australia Day celebrations. So first 2 hours from 10 until 12:01, you have Australia Day celebrations. After 1 o'clock, there is a protest from Aboriginals. In the protest, they have these hoardings, they hold all of these posters and stuff, what happened to them. And I have seen it myself many times, not once, a few times, because, obviously I wanted to be exposed to culture and stuff. I wanted to see what exactly is happening in Australia. It's like an updated news that you wanted to know, and also learn about what happened in Australia. So I've been to, many times I've been to city when there is a protest. So actually this celebration goes for 3 hours. And about, say, 2,000 people attended, example. Protest, nearly 10,000 people attend. 10,000 of them protesting. And it lasts from one of the instances when I have seen it, I was there all day, from 1 until 7 o'clock in the evening. Went the protest. It was too long. Too many people participated in that protest. They don't want Australia Day. That's Aboriginals. And the languages were, they lost the languages because obviously people were forced to follow Western culture, and then that's how they lost. They had more than 60 languages, but they hardly have languages, many languages now, very few languages are there. And other things that Aboriginals do when it comes to their culture. Can anyone tell me about their culture?
In culture, they have collected their food by the hunting or something like fish and the vegetables in the jungles.
No, a lot of people live in rural areas, Aboriginals. They used to. Now you see Aboriginals here and there everywhere. But anything else apart from that? Culture-wise, Aboriginals have their own way of doing things. Their culture is very strong, as like anyone else's. So things like Aboriginals don't look into their eyes when they talk. They feel that it's disrespectful to look into the eyes when you talk. But communication-wise, you should look at the eyes. That's what we learn, yeah? But their culture says that it's not appropriate to look into someone's eyes when you talk. So if you talk to Aboriginals, if they're not looking at you, don't think that they're being disrespectful to you. It's their culture. They believe in slow and perfection, which means that they might do things slowly, but they believe in perfection. They can't rush. That's their culture. And the Aboriginals have, after the death of a person, they do a smoking ceremony wherever the person has passed away. That's their culture. And Aboriginals also have another ritual that they follow is if someone in their family or in their community has passed away and the person has the same name, for example, the person who passed away, his name is Peter, and someone else's name is also Peter in their family, they usually change the other person's name, and they don't keep the belongings of the person who has passed away, including the photographs and the personal belongings of that person. They bury them. They don't keep it. They don't live in the same house. If someone has passed away, they move to a different house. Now, these are some of the cultural perspectives that Aboriginals have. And they have, as we have discussed, since they have been subjected to this kind of racism and so on, discrimination and racism, So over the period of time, while they're fighting for their rights and so on, there was one of the time, if I'm not wrong, it was in the year 2010, where Kevin Rudd was a president, was a prime minister. Kevin Rudd, he has formally apologized to
Yes.
Aboriginals, and that day is called
Sorry day.
National Sorry Day.
Yes. It
National.
was last week only. Sorry.
It
day.
was just 26th of May.
Yes.
National Sorry Day. It was just last week. So these kind of things happen with Aboriginals, and that's why they are considered to be as marginalized people in Australia, and they're still fighting for their rights and their identity in the community, in the society. For example, there are people in Parliament as well who are from Aboriginal background, but they want more control because obviously it's their first people who came to Australia, and they are real Australians. That's what they claim. Okay. That's all about Aboriginals. All right, guys, I believe we have discussed most of it. So there's only one other thing that I wanted to quickly go through. That is about how you deal with cross-cultural conflict. Okay, for example, you have a conflict with someone because of the cross-cultural issues, and then how do you react and how do you manage the situation? I want everyone to please make a note of this particular slide number 39. How do you respond to the cross-cultural conflict? You need to remain calm, try not to be influenced by emotions, inform the instigator that their behavior is inappropriate and offensive, and make it clear it's their behavior, not them. If the person involved offers you an apology, accept it. If they don't offer an apology, let it go for once. It's repetitive, tell them that it's again not, it's upsetting you and so on, whatever you have to say. And then if it continues, then you take an action on them. Okay. The parties involved may determine the course of action. For example, the solution can be found by the parties by compromising. And if it escalates, then it goes to the management. Is that clear for everyone? And that's how you deal with cross-cultural conflicts. And also when you're talking to a client who is complaining, how do you react on it? What do you do with a complaining client? It's on slide number 44. I request everyone to please make a note. How do you communicate with a client who is complaining? Listen to the complaint. Communicate warmth. Oh, is that what happened to you? I'm really sorry to hear that. Calm the client. Take the responsibility. Go and tell the supervisor what happened and ask them to find a solution for that particular complaint. And while they're working on the complaint, if it's taking a week, whatsoever the timeline is taking, go back to the client and tell them, I have reported to supervisor, they're working on it. It might take about 1 week. And within the timeline, if you didn't get the response, go back to the client, go back to the supervisor and ask how long would it take. If it takes another 3 days, go back to the client and let them know. They're still working on the complaint. Unfortunately, they haven't come to a conclusion about the complaint. So they need a bit more time. We might get back to you in another 2 or 3 days. And this is how you communicate with a client who is complaining. I hope that is clear for everyone. Now with this, we have discussed everything that is needed for this particular unit. So I do request everyone to please send me your email addresses in the public chat. All of you, please send me your email addresses in the public chat. Anjana and Simran, you guys also, please make sure that you send it because your first time, you may not be aware. So what happens is everyone gives the email address in the public chat, and then I'll send you the assessment learner resources in the PowerPoint. And then we'll quickly go through the assessment so that, I can give you a rough idea of how to complete your responses. I have one student who did not send me the email address. All right, I have sent the assessment to everyone. You can check your email, not now. Give it a couple of minutes. And if you have not received it, just remind me at the end of the session after the attendance. After the attendance. Right, so that's your assessment for unit number 4. So please write your name, your student ID, and if you have a folder number, you can write the folder number. If you don't have a folder number, you can leave that blank. Not many people have the folder number anyways. So you don't need to sign a date at this stage. The assessment will be due next Saturday, which is the 10th of June. All assessments will come to my email, but don't reply back to my email. Compose it as a new email and email it to me. And the subject will be your name and your unit code. All right. So some students who have I prefer if you can write your student ID as well in the subject, it would be better because some people may have similar names. Yeah. Now, reflect on your own perspectives and you have to answer the following questions. Okay, reflecting on your own perspectives. So the first question is, what are your social and cultural perspectives and biases and why? What are some of the cultural perspectives and social, what is accepted in your culture, what is accepted in your community is what you're writing, and what kind of biases do you have and why? For example, gender inequality is one of them. Okay, dowry can be another one. Okay, but yeah, just for a rough idea. Next one, have you identified any limitations in self and social awareness? Now, no one should be writing that I did not identify any, I'm perfect. No. As I mentioned earlier, I have been here in this country for about now roughly more than 15 years now. And I still have some kind of issues when it comes to my own awareness about social perspectives. Okay, which means that some of the things that you may not know. Example, I don't know about all cultures. Keep it simple. So you said that, for example, in question B, you said that I don't know about all cultures. Now, what is it? How are you planning to improve that? So planning is basically I'll mingle with people from different backgrounds. I have people from friends from different communities. I'll read books. I'll attend cultural events so that I can learn about different things. Is that clear for everyone? Now, next question. This question may be answered in 33 paragraphs, or you can generalize it and answer all of the questions in few paragraphs. Okay, it's a long question. How do you value, respect, diversity, and inclusiveness across all areas of your work? How do you respect? How do you contribute to the development of workplace and professional relationships when it comes to diversity and inclusiveness? What work practices do you use that makes environments safe for all at workplace? Now, these are some of the questions. You can write them in the points individually, or you can write in the paragraphs. It's up to you, but it is a long question and needs a good explanation of what you're going to do. So everything that we have learned today can go there. Everything. Because it's about work and about inclusive practices. Is that clear for everyone? I don't think I should be digging into it, acknowledging everyone, respecting people, not judging people, even if people are from different age groups. For example, if you have a person who is older than you, learn from them, try to ask them what would be the best solution be for a particular problem, rather than, discriminating or saying against the age or so on. Learn from each other. And, having people from different backgrounds, what is the benefit? People bring different ideas when they're from different backgrounds. Appreciate those different ideas and understand that diversity can give us more opportunities to learn. Okay, so those kind of things can be discussed in that particular question. I'm roughly going to touch base on all of them, yeah? And how do you show respect for diversity in communication? Okay, do not use trivializing language. Do not use offensive language. Use respectful language. Be polite. Be kind, be professional in your communication. Always use inclusive language or inclusive communication. Okay. Next question. What are the verbal and non-verbal communication methods you use? Write about what is verbal and what is non-verbal. Verbal is, when you're communicating verbally, you need to be polite, respectful, kind, and you monitor your tone. Non-verbal, your body language, your gestures, your eye contact, all of them. All of them will go in there. Okay. Now, the next one would be, what are the strategies you would employ when there is a language barrier? When there is a language barrier, when you have people from someone who is from not from a background where they can speak fluent English, all right, but they might have issues with English. Now, what strategies do you use? We did discuss in the previous unit as well, speaking slowly and clearly, paraphrasing, summarizing, reflecting, using communication aids, using interpreters, using interpreting apps, maintaining normal volume. I am being quick, but I believe everyone is clear. At any point of time, if you're not able to understand anything, you can ask me. I'm happy to repeat it slowly as well. Next question. How do you seek assistance from interpreter? So if you have to take an assistance from the interpreter is a language interpreter. How do you take assistance? So we just have to write the process. How do you take assistance? I will tell in English, the common language that me and interpreter speaks. I'll tell it in English what I want to ask client, and the interpreter, what they basically do is they translate it and tell that information to the client and get a response from the client and give it back to you in the common language that you both understand. You write the process of communication between you and the interpreter and the complete process of interpretation. Is that clear? Now, the next question is, identify issues that may cause communication misunderstandings or difficulties. What are some of the issues that can cause communication misunderstandings? I've given you a slide number earlier, so you roughly have a guide on how to answer. You can refer to your slide number 35. Now, the next question, discuss the impact of social and cultural diversity where difficulties or misunderstandings occur. When there is a misunderstanding or difficulty, what is the impact of it? What do you think would be impact? Because of, you don't know about a particular culture, you said something and the person got offended or whatsoever. So what is the impact of that particular situation? What can it cause? It can cause misunderstandings. It can cause confusions. It can lead to conflict. You may not be able to contribute to the team, or you may not be able to work as a team because your relationship gets weaker.
We can write less communication. Lack of
communication, yes.
Lack of communication. Yeah.
Lack of communication could also be one of the things. That's the impact is what you're writing there. Okay. Next question. Discuss how you could make an effort to sensitively resolve differences taking account of diversity considerations. So how can you resolve things sensitively? Have a non-judgmental approach. Respect everyone's culture. Understand that every person is different and they have different perspectives, and process of doing things, and respect it. Avoid making judgments, or non-judgmental is one and the same. When you're questioning someone, question with care.
We can write work as a team group.
Work as a team, yes. Learn from each other and take the benefits of diverse people. For example, the thought processes will be more. The solution options can also be more. And be understanding. Those are the things that you could consider. Now, in question number 5, what they're asking is, you have to think about a time that you have worked with different backgrounds. Okay. Whether you're working in a kitchen, whether you're working in McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, or whatever, wherever you work with people from different backgrounds, what was your experience like? Was it positive? If it was positive, what made it positive? If it was negative, what made it negative? And what did you do? When you say negative, guys, please be mindful. You said negative, something happened. For example, I worked in a kitchen or a restaurant where I had 9 Chinese people. I was the only Indian. I really felt uncomfortable because no one was talking in English. Everyone was talking in Chinese. Okay. I felt bad about it. What did you do about it is also important. What did you do? Oh, I've told my manager that at least now and then if you could include me in the team because I feel excluded. Okay. So then everyone started talking a little bit in English. So I felt good. And they tried to include me in everything that they do so that I feel better. You understand what I mean? So you have to write about where did you work when it comes to diverse backgrounds? Who did you work with? Which community? Was it a positive experience or a negative experience? If it was positive, what made it positive? If it was negative, what made it negative and what did you do about it? Okay, this is a very individual person question. Okay, it all depends on you. Okay, don't tell that I never worked in Australia. That's not a right answer, guys. If you've not worked in Australia, you would have interacted with someone in the school. Okay, at least.
I have a question. Yes, I have not worked in Australia, but yes, I've worked in a different country. So can I take an example?
100%. That's what I said. You know, not only working, for example, here, everyone is respecting when you're talking.
Yes.
Yes. That's also there. You know, this class, we never had any issues. Everyone is respecting. No one has judged each other. You know, just to give a rough idea where you can start your research or start writing your answers. Even if you have worked in different country, even if you worked in your own country and you work with people from other countries, that's accepted. We're talking about diversity only. All right? Yes. Diversity means, you know, people from different backgrounds you've worked with. Now, next question.
Diversity, we mean like the people from the same country. Like sometimes we do have it. We can write about that as well.
People from?
Like same country or same nation background, we still have some like.
Now, if you have worked with your own country people as well, again, your own country also has diverse groups.
Yeah.
Okay, your religion could be different from this. Those can be considered, but try to have different nationalities. That would be a bit more better for answers if you have such experiences. If you have, I'm not forcing you again. Now, question number 6. How cultural awareness, cultural safety, and cultural competency impact different work roles? Now, what is the benefit of you having cultural competency? You know, you know how to, you did this unit. What is the benefit of doing this unit? Cultural competency, how does it help you? You know, cultural competency, you know about different cultures. You learned about different cultures. For example, you know about 10 cultures. Is it good for you? How is it good for you? Is what you're writing.
To grow, yes.
It helps you to grow. It not only helps you to go personally, it will also help you to go in your career as well. Because when you know people and different cultures, you can start talking about it. For example, your boss or your colleagues are, you know, they are from a particular community and you already know about that community and you start talking about it, you build a good relationship with them. And eventually it contributes to the growth of your own personally and professionally as well. Now, next one, I leave that with you, definition of diversity. Next question, how do different cultures and community attitudes impact? Now, we have people from different backgrounds again. There are positive and negative things that could happen because Australia is a multicultural country where you have people from different backgrounds. Now, what can be positive and what can be negative? When it comes to positive, we get to try different food. We get to learn about different cultures. We get a chance to mingle with people from different backgrounds. Okay, positive. Negative, sometimes, for example, I give you an example of restaurant, 9 people are working and I'm Chinese and I'm only one. I feel isolated. There's a chance that people can be discriminated. It could lead to bullying and harassment. Negative side, okay? Next question. Now, next question is a bit of research question, guys. You need to research about 4 features of diversity: social diversity. Everyone please write it down, but you have to discuss them, research and discuss. Social diversity, political diversity, economical diversity, and cultural diversity. I repeat myself: social, political, cultural, and economical. Okay. Question number 10. How does anti-discrimination legislation impact the way you would work and what are the consequences of breaching? Now, do we need anti-discrimination legislations? Why do you need it? What is the benefit of having anti-discrimination legislation?
To eliminate the discrimination.
You know that people cannot discriminate. And if someone discriminates, you know that you can take an action, you can take them to the court and so on. Consequences are people can be imprisoned, jailed, or they lose their job. They might be subjected to investigation. they can be penalized. So those kind of things. Now, question number 11. What are human rights? Discuss in relation to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What are human rights? They give the rights to us, how you need to be treated. And in case if the human rights are breached, where do we go? You go to the courts. That's exactly what they're asking the next question. Okay. What rights and responsibilities do you and your clients have if the human rights are infringed? Infringed is nothing but breached. What do? You can take them to court. You can take them to police. You can hire a lawyer and take legal actions against them. You can sue people. Question number 13. These are all definitions. I'll leave that with you. Only when it comes to generational, guys, just a rough idea. Generationals, when you're researching it, include Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, baby boomers. These are basically, when you research about it, you are basically writing about which year they are born. For example, this year to this year, they're called Generation X. This year to this year born, they're called Generation Y. Okay, you research about that a bit. Now, question number 14, this is more about Aboriginals, guys. What kind of physical, mental, and emotional health issues did they have? You'll be writing about it. Everyone clear with that? And you'll be writing about protective factors. Now, protective factors is one of the things that you may need a bit of help with. What are some of the protective factors they have now, Aboriginals? Now, problems you already know. What are the problems? Physical problems, their diseases were spread among them. They didn't have proper treatment. They were not given citizenship. Their kids were taken away from them. They're traumatized. All of this will go into the second B. But what are the protective factors? Counseling, government support services, income support services, housing support services, healthcare insurances, and other protective factors can be, we can make them feel welcomed and respected. We can respect their thoughts and their rights to fight against what happened with them. We respect it. Someone has a problem, they want to fight, that's okay. You have a right. Make them feel safe in the community. These are all protective factors. Improve self-determination in them. Like how I said, I have a right to fight for my land. Yeah, we totally understand. We appreciate it. You have a right to fight. You have a right to get what you deserve.
Safe workplace environment.
Respecting their culture. Now, you also see it in the workplace when someone was on, Rohan was answering something related to workplace. When you apply for jobs, you also have a particular section where it says, are you from Aboriginal background? You know why they ask you that? Because to make sure that the treatment is fair and no discrimination happens. To make sure that they are very careful. So that, because already someone is traumatized and having issues. And then if they have been rejected for no reason, inappropriate reason, or someone is not being careful with the decision, then it can cause further harm to them. That's why you have that, so that, the files can be reviewed properly, especially if they're Aboriginals. Okay. Those are all protective factors. The next question, how do discrimination, trauma, exclusion, and negative attitudes impact on people? Now, how I said, 9 people are Chinese and then one person is, say, Indian, Nepali, or whatever nationality, or other way around. One person is Chinese and 9 Indians. They're talking all in Indian language, and this one person is, being isolated. So what is the impact? It could lead to depression, stress, isolation, low self-esteem, okay, racism, and so on. Okay, suicidal thoughts, and everything can go in there. Next question. How can an organization be supported to respond to diversity? I believe it's okay. Next question. What are the influences on changing practices in Australia that impact on diverse communities? Now, what are some of the things that influence on changing practices? For example, answers could include, for example, immigration rules have changed. You have more people from different backgrounds now. Changes in government policies, changes in government itself, government funding, Any other things? Anyone wants to add anything in this question? What are the influences and changing practices in Australia?
Now they have operated different restaurants from their like home countries, from Nepal and India. They have on their restaurants in here, Australia.
All their what?
They have operated different restaurants from their
Restaurants, food,
Yeah.
obviously food. Yeah. You get an opportunity chance to try every food. All of this can go in there. Any one of you want me to repeat anything here? Next question. Question 18, question 19 will be something for you to write about Aboriginals. Okay, I'll leave that with you because I really want everyone to research full on. Because living in Australia, I really want everyone to know who are Aboriginals. Okay, or else, literally people will be like, you don't know about Aboriginals and you have been in this country for the last 3 years. Are you sure? Are you serious? So definitely, I want everyone to research on this and write it down. It's the same things that I have discussed. Okay, loss of land and so on. Question number 20. What is the impact of diversity practices and experiences? What is the benefit of having different people from different backgrounds? So a lot of them. New ideas, new practices. You get to learn different cultures. You get to try different food. You get to know about different traditions, different rituals. You can have friends from different backgrounds. All of these can go in there. Impact. Now, question number 21. What is the relationship between human needs and human rights? What is the relationship between human needs and human rights, guys? Can we accommodate our human needs without human rights? You don't have a right to work. How will you make money? Human needs and human rights are interrelated. For example, you have a right to work, then you can accommodate your human needs. Okay. Now you have a right to be free from abuse. That's also one of the right. Then you can your human need is to be free from any kind of abuse. That's a need. Yeah. You know what I mean? Healthy fitness, health and fitness. Question 22, leave that with you. Question 23, I have already discussed these 3 commitments an organization could have when it comes to diversity. Question, I believe, slide number 6 until 9. Slide 6 until 9. Sustaining awareness of diversity, making safe environment, and demonstrating commitment towards diversity. Question number 24, 4 tips to become culturally competent. How can you become culturally competent? Quick. How can you become culturally competent? 4 steps that you can take to become culturally competent.
Learn about
Open to learn.
Be open to learn.
Mhm.
Have people from different backgrounds as friends. Attend different cultural events. Reading books. Talking to cultural interpreters. Watching movies from different backgrounds. A lot of people now watch Korean movies, Korean series. And they learn a lot about Koreans.
Traveling to different countries.
Hmm?
Traveling to different countries.
Traveling could also be there, yes. But Australia itself is enough, man. You don't have to travel anywhere. I don't mean to say anything, but yeah, Australia will almost say you have everyone here.
Yeah.
You can cover almost all countries here. So traveling is always good. Question 25. List 4 tips for responding to diversity. How do you respond to diversity? Any 4 tips? For this one, you're writing 4 tips here, 4 tips here. Okay. So it's the same question for 4 each. So what are the 4? Give me at least 4 tips. 4 tips on how to respond to diversity at workplace. Respect everyone irrespective of their age.
Organizing a cultural program.
Organizing cultural programs and being part of the cultural programs. Acknowledge individual differences. Do not impose your values on others. Do not impose your cultural perspectives on others.
Respect each other's views, opinions.
Respect everyone's views at workplace.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you could add. You put 4 of them here, 4 of them here. Now, 4 legislations that you have to write about when it comes to discrimination. 4 discrimination legislations. Any 4 you have to write. Racial Discrimination Act, 1976. Equal Opportunity Act, 1987. Disability Discrimination Act, 1992. Sex Discrimination Act, 1984. I repeat myself, Racial Discrimination Act, 1976. DDA Act, 1992, Disability Discrimination Act. Equal Opportunity Act, 1987. Sex Discrimination Act, 1984. What is discrimination language and how can you avoid it? Always use inclusive language. Avoid stereotypes. Avoid trivializing language. Avoid offensive language. Avoid discriminative language. What is a discrimination in language? It means that a language that is not respectful. A language that is not respectful is a discrimination language. Question 30. List 4 ways to overcome communication difficulties. Speaking slowly, clearly. We have done this earlier. Using interpreters. Using sign language and body language. Using visualization technique like cue cards. Question 31. In what situations might you use professional interpreters? When do you use professional interpreters? You need professional, when you must use professional interpreters? During medical consultations, while discussing about the test results, while discussing about the treatment options, during the care planning, just some of the instances where you could, we can also write about other instances could be when writing wills, and also while deciding on finances. When we're deciding about finances, who gets what if something happens to me? Or how do you spend my finances? In those situations, we may use professional interpreters. List 4 of the issues that may cause conflict at workplace. What can cause conflict at workplace when it comes to diverse environment? Miscommunication, misinterpretation, differences in cultural practices, differences in rituals, differences in treatment, perceptions, lack of knowledge about culture, lack of knowledge about society practices. 34. What steps should you take to respond to cross-cultural conflict? How do you respond to cross-cultural conflict at workplace? I've given you a slide number earlier.
Culture.
You refer to slide number 39. So how do you respond?
We remain calm and talk politely.
Talk politely, remain calm. If someone has done something wrong, if they're apologizing, accept it. You might let it go for once. If it's repetitive, then tell the other person that it's offending. And if it continues, you report it to supervisor.
We can write a report form, something reporting form.
You can use a you can use incident report, but to that stage you don't go until things are escalated.
Okay.
Now, question number 34, I did mention a slide number as well. I don't remember you guys have it or not, but yeah, it's about how do you communicate with the client who is complaining. Listen to them attentively,
In 4 steps:
calm them down,
listening, calm the client, take responsibility, and
and
follow
follow
up.
up. Very good, Simran. You're doing well now. So you listen to the person, what their complaint is, acknowledge their feelings, what they're saying, calm them down. Example, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's what happened with you. I'm really sorry. Let me see what I can do. I'll try my best to help you out. And you take the responsibility. You go and mention it to the supervisor and try to get back to the client with the timelines. And if at all, if it's taking longer than usual, also communicate the same with the client. And once you have one other thing I wanted to mention is once you have a solution or a resolution from the complaint from the management, you let the client know about the decision on the complaint and ensure that the clients are happy. If the client is not happy with the decision, go back to the management and let them know that the client is still not happy so that they can continue to look further into it. Okay. And that's all of your questions for this particular unit. You got 34 questions. It's a long one, but it's an easy one, I guess. Yeah, it's not hard. Definitely not really complicated. Easy. Okay. If you guys have any questions in any part of this assessment, you're more than welcome to ask questions.
Can I ask you one question? Like, if I'm working in dementia area, if someone is bullying, then we can write a incident reporting form or incident form for that one.
If you're working in dementia, someone is who?
Like the people who is residents, who's bullying at you.
No, you're talking about, but firstly, our topic is not about dementia, but you're more than welcome to ask questions about anything. It's okay. So we're talking about something else here, guys. So you have to just tell me what exactly is a scenario, Rohan.
Like if I'm working in a dementia area, if the residence is bullying at me, then if I...
What is bullying there?
Bullying,
what are you considering it as bullying?
If something happens, like if his word that touches in my heart, that's not good, and he's repeating it.
What is that? Well, did they say something really bad to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what happens is, for example, now dementia topic is a very vast topic, but I'm just going to give you a rough idea. Okay. Now, for example, a client who is having a dementia, and they have said something that could be offending or not very nice things that they have told or said to you, then technically, what actions can we take? Frankly speaking, there are no actions that you could probably take because the client is having dementia. Okay. It depends on what stage of dementia they are on. For example, someone who is in stage 2, they may not mean to say what they want, what they're actually saying to you. You understand what I mean, Rohan? They don't may not mean to say, they don't want to upset you. It's only that they're saying whatever comes to their mind. Because remember, this person who's having dementia, they're cognitively impaired, which means they can't really think well before they say something. Make sense?
Yeah.
But if it's affecting you, your question was, can I still complete an incident report? You refer to the policies and procedures of your organization, but anything that is causing harm in general, anything that is causing harm to you, it is an incident.
Yeah.
For example, some people say that I'm having problem now because I'm upset and I keep thinking about some things and then I get depressed. Is that an incident? It is an incident, if you ask me, because it's upsetting you and it's causing harm to you. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes. But again, you have to just go and talk to your supervisor, and they'll be the best people to assist because it has to be according to your policies of the organization. There might be a procedure where you might be provided with debriefing. Yeah, where supervisors will tell you how to manage and what is the reasons, what exactly happened, depending on the circumstances. Okay. And they might suggest you an appropriate action depending on that. They might just say, all right, if we not feeling very well. Some people even say you take a day off and come back, relax a bit. It's okay. That depends. I don't know the situation. If I don't know this, I don't want to give you a wrong answer. But in general, the supervisor should be able to address such issues that you may come across at workplace.
Thank you.
No worries. All right. Yun Jeng, Yun Sion, Brendan, Jello, Kensun, I have marked you.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, as I mentioned, tomorrow, no session, okay?
Yep, thank you, sir.
Urmila, Soumya marked.
Yes, sir.
Sant, Anisha, Anjana, Arman,
Yes, sir.
Anjana marked. Anupa,
Yes, sir.
Anupa is here. Ashmita,
Yes, sir.
Ashmita Lamachini or Bandari? Bandari.
Pandari.
Lamachini, Asmita Magar, Astika, Bandana,
Yes, sir.
marked. Shelly, Dipali, Deepika,
Present, sir.
marked Deepika. Dilini, are you there? You marked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, but
Dilsi, Fernando, Gemma, Gladys marked. Gurpreet, Isha marked. Jamila marked.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jessica marked. Jasprit
you.
yes, sir.
marked. Jyoti marked.
Thank you.
Kabita, Kamalpreet, Kabita marked. Kamalpreet
Yes, sir.
marked. Himraj
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Kulvinder
Present, sir.
marked. Lipu marked. Lorna marked. Mahima
Thank you. Yes, sir.
marked. Mahima.
Thank you,
Manisha,
sir.
Maria Tiffany marked.
Yes,
Marianne, Michael marked. Mohan
Present,
marked.
sir.
Nirjala, Pavitra marked. Pratigna, Mohan, you have been marked.
Yes, sir.
Pratigna marked. Pratik marked. Pratima, Pooja Thapa
Present, sir.
marked. Raju marked.
Yes, sir.
Rivaj marked.
Yes, sir.
Ria
Yes, sir.
marked. Roshni Buddhatoki, Roshni Dami, Sabina Rana,
Sir.
Samiksha Gurung, Sapana
Yes, sir.
marked. Shanti,
Here, sir.
Shanti marked. Shraddha, Simran Singh
Yes, sir.
marked. Sophia, Sohit
Yes, sir.
marked. Sophia.
Yes,
marked.
sir.
So Sophia and Sohit both marked. Sonika, Christina
Yes, sir.
marked. Sukhjeet,
Yes, sir.
Sukhmanpreet, Sujit, your marks. Meena. Sunil. Suraj, marked.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Susmita. Tuidang. Treso. Tripti. Sharing Tamang. If I missed anyone's name, do let me know. All right, students who do not have any questions, you guys can leave. I'll see you next week on Saturday at 9 a.m.
What about
Yes.
my notes? Because I'm the student of the from Rizalina, so I just take a missing
Thank
class.
you, sir. Hi, Gladys. How are you?
That should be fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Rohan. I'll see. Well, if at all, if you have attended today's session, that's fine, Rohan.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
didn't get assessment, today's assessment.
Yes, just send me your email address once again in the public chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
To use scores.
My attendance, Goma.
I've taken Goma.
Okay, thank you.
The students who have questions will now stay back and others can leave. I'll see you next week on Saturday. Yeah, cheers.